Hello, everyone. Welcome to this intuitive tapping session for June 24th, 2025. It's been a little while since I've done an intuitive tapping session, but I'd really like to bring them back, especially over the summer months. I think it's a great way for moms to get a break, to reconnect with themselves, and to just kind of stay anchored in their own intuition. And today was a perfect day, I thought, to bring back these intuitive tapping sessions because tomorrow, June 25th, is a new moon in Cancer. The sun is in Cancer and Jupiter is in Cancer. So today we are going to wrap a whole lot of things into a little intuitive tapping session. We are also not just going to be doing some tapping, we will be doing some really cool work with the self-sway testing that I have been really obsessed about over the last 6 months or so. And we're just going to kind of throw it together and see what comes from it. So to get started today, I just wanted to riff a little bit on Cancer as an astrology, from an astrology standpoint. So as for Cancer, it is a very maternal energy, and all of this is kind of energetics. It's not necessarily qualities or characteristics per se of people, although they can be. But this is just in general energetic terms that I kind of explain these astrology archetypes, so to speak. So Cancer is a very maternal quality and energy. It is very much about stability and structure within the house and home, with family, with belief systems, with generational and karmic, patterns and themes. And so I think it's really a neat time of year for this Jupiter, Sun, and the Moon to all be in Cancer for it themselves. But it's also really an interesting energy because there's a lot of boundaries, there's a lot of protection, there's a lot of in astrology, Cancer is the crab archetype, or the crab zodiac. And so we can really take a look at where that protection becomes overpowering, or it extends beyond what actually is necessary, so to speak. So one of the things that I was thinking about when I think about the term Cancer is, or the energy of Cancer in astrology, is severe. So it is severely nurturing, or it could be severely protective. It could be severely go with the flow. It could be severely or fiercely, rigid and structured. And this is there's just so many dynamics that we can pull at from a motherhood perspective, and how maternal, the maternal dynamics of Cancer and how that affects us as mothers ourselves, especially with this time of year. It's the end of June. Kids are out of school if you have school-age kids. It just brings this sense of a complete rehaul in our routine and what is regular. And so it's a really good thing to kind of look at. The two things that I particularly see that come out with this right now is what needs to be nurtured and what needs to be protected. So this is our boundaries. What boundaries do we need to nurture for ourselves as moms as we move into summer, holiday, summer vacation? And what needs to be protected? So how do our boundaries need to be protected? How do we need to nurture ourselves in order to be able to nurture our kids, our house, our home, our families? And then also taking a look at what boundaries we need to set in place in order for that nurturing to happen. The other themes that can come up right now around Cancer is intuition and instinct. So I think that, I play around with this every once in a while. I think that they're separate, but I think that they can weave in and out of existence with each other, be entwined. And so intuition is more of for me, it's very grounded. There is no fear behind it. There's no reactionary or rush or urgent energy behind intuition. It just is, and it is so. And then there's instinct, where there is maybe a little bit more. Yes, it does flow through a lot more naturally, but there is maybe more of a rush or an urgency, or a sense of, of severity, maybe, that is up at the front of it. So we just know, but it's an instinctual knowing. It's a knee-jerk reaction. and there is something with a little bit more force behind it versus the intuition where it just kind of comes in and trickles in. And for me, that's there's nothing that I really need to do around it. Maybe instinct is more of an action-based intuition, and intuition is more of that receiving-based intuition, if that makes sense. So playing around between instinct and intuition. So where do we need to nurture our intuition? Where do we need to nurture our instincts? I think instincts can stem from fear, security, stability, or lack thereof. And so really taking a look at what needs to be nurtured in order to allow us to tap into that instinct in a more intuitive standpoint. And then also, what do we need to protect about that? What do we need to protect or honor about our intuition and our instinct as moms? The other interesting thing, I have some notes here because there's a couple of key things that just really stood out to me, is about imagination and reality. So one of the things that I absolutely love about our subconscious especially is that it does not know the difference between what is imagined and what is actual in reality happening. So I think that this is to our advantage, and when we understand that and when we have awareness and intention around that piece, because we can then imagine things happening in a certain way that our subconscious can give us some feedback on, and we can adjust accordingly. Maybe we need to do a little bit of work around what it means to receive, which is another Cancer characteristic or energetic characteristic that kind of popped out of me, is about being responsible with the way that we receive, so that we can receive as graciously as we give, because we are role modeling and we are we're leading our kids into that understanding for what it means to receive, what it means to be able to rest, what it means to be able to have fun, what it means to just be receptive in some way, shape, or form. And so we can start to build a practice around imagining what we would like things to be, and then allowing our subconscious to give us some feedback, something that we can work on and do some work around. And the thing I love about the self-sway test that has been, like I said, kind of, I've been obsessed with it. It's just been really interesting because it helps me put my mind to the sidelines for a few minutes. It helps me really connect to my body and to my subconscious, and it gives me the answers. And yes, there is a level of power of suggestion, or we're thinking of intention is a lot to do with the self-sway test. But if we can work to practice getting our mind to relax, to be able to receive information before judging it or trying to rationalize it or interpret it, or to put a bias or a perception into what information we get from our sway, that's where tapping comes in, and it can really relax the body, can relax our subconscious. It can show us that we're safe to receive the information that our body can then just go ahead and without any attachments or conditions or expectations, we can say, show me this, show me that, what about this, how do I feel about this, right? And it can just really, it's a very cool investigation tool. My words. So, and then the last thing that I think is an interesting thing to take a look at is for this Cancer, new moon in Cancer, this sun season in Cancer, is faith and self-assurance. So being able to have faith, but also to feel self-assured, to feel that assurance that comes from within you, that is, fueled by actions, but as well as your energy and like your boundaries, like we've been talking about. How do we need to nurture that? How do we need to protect that? But then also having faith that you will know what is right for you or for your family for the best and highest good. Really tapping into that trust. So both that divine trust, but also your personal trust as well. So it's really interesting. The Jupiter in Cancer is an exalted state. So that means that Jupiter's what is it? It's in its home in Sagittarius, but it's also, and Pisces a little bit too, but it is in its exalted state, in its best, it's living its best life. in Cancer. So I think that's really important to note. That's really powerful to note, especially because it is conjunct with the sun and the moon. And the moon obviously is at home in Cancer. The moon rules Cancer in astrology. And the sun is the one that might have a little bit of, because the sun is a lot of heat, it's a lot of fire energy. And so we can see maybe a little bit of push-pull between, the fire getting put out by the water, or the water is boiled by the fire, or, we're wanting to find that happy medium somewhere in the middle, bridging that gap between the two. So before we get started, that's a lot of preamble, but I feel like it's important because then you can start to kind of, marinate on what is standing out for you during this new moon. The new moon is really about emergence for me, or re-emergence into this next season, into this next cycle. We're moving into summer. That sunlight is right off of that floor. Anyway, it's about this new, fresh, vital energy that's coming through, but it's also, we got to take into consideration that this is the end of the school year, and that we as moms are basically, our routine is getting shuffled around to a degree, because school is ending if you have school-age kids, and it's just a shift. It's a transition from one season to another. So we want to take a look at that and hold that as the anchor, the foundation, as we look at, mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually, or energetically, what is pulling at us? What are we being drawn towards? What are the demands that we're actually going to have to, take a look at as we move into this next season of summer? And then taking a look at, just what is standing out for you, what needs to be nurtured, how do we place boundaries, and again, taking a look at the different things that are coming up for you up front and center, as we re-emerge into the summer season, into this full moon, and into this Cancer season. What are we being drawn to? What are the things that are pulling at our attention? And let's use some EFT and some self-sway testing to really make the most of those things. So we're gonna go ahead and start by just doing a round of tapping. We just want to settle in. We just want to be able to see. Sorry, we have mosquitoes right now. So if you see me swatting at stuff and things, that is why. So we want to do a round of EFT tapping to open up our subconscious a little bit, to kind of settle ourselves, to settle our senses, to settle our nervous system, to allow ourselves to step into a place of safety within, and security and stability within, so that we can start to see a little bit deeper into the things that we want to take a look at in order to make the best and the most out of the time that we're stepping into right now. So if you're in the right space to do so, you can go ahead and close your eyes. You could put your hands on your stomach or on your heart and just take a nice deep breath here. You close your eyes or soften your gaze. Start to relax your face muscles, your jaw, unclench your jaw. Relax your forehead, soften the eyes, soften the cheeks. Maybe rest your back on your chair, just kind of settle in, feel supported wherever you're sitting. Maybe let your shoulders just fall naturally. Notice if there's any tension or holding or tightness in your body. And again, taking some nice, deep, slow, gentle breaths here. Anchoring into your present moment, no matter what you can hear, no matter what you've been working on, taking a break from the demands of your day. And knowing that you are going to be able to go right back to them as soon as you're finished here. And again, taking stock of any tension or holding in the stomach. And Cancer rules the stomach, the breasts, the digestive center. of our body in astrology, if you're into medical astrology, which is a fun genre of information that I've been getting into lately. So really focusing your attention on your chest, your stomach, your digestion. Maybe going on, if you can hear any digestive gurgling sounds. And taking a nice big deep breath, bringing that air down into your stomach. Allowing your stomach to expand, to receive that breath. And then feeling a slight contraction as you breathe out, maybe blowing all of that air out as much as you possibly can. So you don't want to necessarily push on the stomach to push all that air out, but you can hold your hand on your stomach to feel how it feels to exhale and to feel that contraction of the stomach, or to feel that pulling sensation of the belly button into the spine. And then again, just taking stock of any tension or tightness or holding that you might feel in your legs. Bringing some relaxation to the knees, to the ankles, to the feet. Maybe you want to place your feet firmly on the ground, just to feel grounded and anchored. You can also feel that in your seat bones, if your legs are crossed or if your feet aren't touching the ground. You feel that on your back. Just being supported, feeling anchored and grounded. Taking one more nice gentle breath in and out. Coming back to the sound. You could keep your eyes closed if you like. You could just follow the sound of my voice, or you can open your eyes and follow along with the tapping points with me. And we're going to go ahead and start tapping on the side of the hand. And say, you can repeat after me, or you can just say it to yourself in your head. Even though I can feel a pace change with this new season approaching, I'd like to give myself a moment to pause, a moment to reflect, or a moment to just be present with all that is right now. Even though this seasonal transition may feel busy and chaotic, there's so many things to do, so many things to remember, so many things to organize. And I give myself permission to pause and breathe right now before going on to anything else. And remembering that I love and accept myself exactly where I am. And even though sometimes I forget to pause or enjoy the moment, to be present, to breathe, I feel pulled in many directions, and it's not easy to take care of what I need to take care of for me. I love and accept this part of me now that's been holding it together, that's been pushing through, that's been organizing the chaos. And I give her a moment to pause in the pressure. Taking a nice gentle breath here, we're going to move to the top of the head. And again, repeat after me to yourself or out loud. I give myself permission. Eyebrow point to pause in the pressure. Side of the eye. I give myself permission. Underneath the eye to pause in this pressure. Underneath the nose. There's so much that needs to be done. Underneath the mouth. So much that needs to be organized. Collarbone point. There are so many directions I'm being pulled. Underneath the arms. I forget to breathe for me. Underneath the chest. I forget to pause for myself. Wrist points. But I'm open. Top of the head. To taking that pause right now. Eyebrow point. I'm open to letting go of everything that I see. Side of the eye. I'm letting go. I'm open to letting go. Underneath the eye of everything that I hear. Underneath the nose. Ooh, excuse me. I'm definitely needing this. So if you're yawning or anything, that's perfect. Underneath the nose, you want to say, I am open to letting go. Underneath the mouth, all of the physical sensations. Collarbone point that are pulling me in different directions. Underneath the arms, my senses are overstimulated. Underneath the chest, I feel like I'm not breathing enough. Wrist points, my senses have been overstimulated. Top of the head, but I give myself permission right now eyebrow point to pause in the pressure now. All right, good job. So taking a nice moment here to just anchor in. You can close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a nice gentle breath in to connect to your breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Giving yourself that moment to pause in the pressure. Maybe it's just a couple of breaths. Maybe you are able to tune out some of the things that you've been seeing, some of the things you've been hearing, and you're able to turn on that focus or redirect that focus to your breathing. So nice full inhales and nice long extended exhales. And giving yourself a moment here to just fully inhale and to fully exhale. Because the truth is that anything that you are attached to in this moment, anything that you're working on, anything that you're organizing, anything that you are putting your time and energy into cannot come to fruition, it cannot be completed or achieved unless you are there to do it. And some people might think that, no shit, Sherlock, I am the thing that's keeping these things running. I am the thing that's keeping these things, quote unquote homeostatic. I am the thing that's keeping shit in line. I am the thing that's keeping shit together. But if you think about it in a different context, in the way of like, you get to keep those things together and you get to set the pace, you get to set the standards, you get to set the expectations, you get to set the schedule, you get to set the dynamic of these things. So we forget as moms that we are a very powerful conduit to time, energy, space, holding space, taking up space. And so the more we can take up space that is with an energy that is aligned to us, so we are tuned into our mood, our mindset, and our motivation, and we go into the things that we are holding space for, the things that we are directing or managing or taking care of, those things will automatically fall into alignment with our state of being. And so we can go into things like frantic, crazy, scattered, shit's like gonna hit the fan if we don't get in there and get things situated or organized or whatever it is that we need to do. Or we can come into it as like, all right, I've entered the room, everybody sit down, shut up, be quiet, everything, sit down, shut up, be quiet. Let me give myself a minute to organize myself, to understand where I am going to be the best the best version of me to be of service and support, and then we will move from there. So I think this is a big thing for moms, is that we rush in with action and we don't rush in with aligned action. We don't rush in with optimized energy. We rush in just needing to put out fires. And so we will continue to find fires to put out until we realize that we are the goddamn fire in a way. But like, we are the one that gets to set the tone. We're the thermostat, basically, right? So if we are coming in chaotic and hectic and scattered, everything else is going to be chaotic, hectic, and scattered. If we come in as calm and cool and collected as we can be, with a sense of groundedness, and yes, things may be frantic and frazzled, and maybe sometimes we work better under pressure in that way. But if we come in with a little bit more dedication to our own energy, so that we know where we can filter or direct that energy flow into, with a little bit more dialed inness or finesse, then everything is going to kind of come into alignment with that, especially if you are a mom that everybody goes to for things. So really, making sure that you're dialed in and you have some finesse within your mind, mood, and your motivation. So your mind, body, soul connection, which is not always easy, but this is what we need to model for our kids, as well as what we need to model for ourselves, because chances are nobody was there to model it when we were kids growing up. But the thing is that we get to set the stage, we get to set the tone of things. And I think that that is the biggest thing that moms are missing, is that we get to set the tone. So we come in, again, like we're coming in scattered, we're coming in pressured, we're coming in hot, like we're urgent, we're frantic, we're, there's a sense of urgency behind what we're doing. Everything else is going to follow suit, right? But if we come in and be like, okay, this shit needs to get done, but first we're going to ground and we're going to get connected within ourselves, and we're going to get organized within ourselves before we get organized outside of ourselves. That organization, that flow, that the actions that follow are going to realign with that energy. So I hope that makes sense. And it is a practice, of course. This is not, just turn it on, just do it, right? It's a practice, and it takes some time. And it starts with you. It does not start with having the house tidy and clean. It does not start with the dishes being done or the laundry being done. It doesn't start with the kids being quiet. It doesn't start with, the kids not fighting. It doesn't start with like your relationship being completely at peace and just in a really perfect spot. It doesn't require you to be I mean, it's funny to say, but I mean, it doesn't require you to like feel fulfilled in some way, shape, or form, right? Like, I mean, you don't have to get laid in order to do this. You don't have to wait for those things to happen because they're not going to happen unless you tune in to you and you're generating that, because then those things can come and then you will receive them. This is the biggest thing as well, is that yes, we want things to run smoothly. We want our kids to have fun. We want our kids to get along. We want our kids to, like, I don't know, flourish in some way, shape, or form. We want our house to flow. We want our house to be, you know, our sanctuary. We want our relationships to be sacred, and we want them to grow, like, we want them to be in alignment and to serve and support our best and highest goods from both sides, like from each person involved. But that can't happen until, you know, it doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within. So we're going to do one more tapping session here. We're going to do one more round of tapping, and then we're going to go into a little bit deeper for what you can work on afterwards. We're going to do some self-sway stuff. I'm going to give you some prompts and some things to focus on that you can play with, and then you can do this on your own time, because I think that's the best way to do self-swaying, and sometimes the best way to tap too, is you need to be in your own space. Sometimes you can't really force you know, by following along, and you just need to be in your own element, and that often requires not having anybody else in your element, so that you know it's the purest form of you. So we're going to go ahead and start tapping on the side of the hand and say, even though I would just like things to flow smoothly, even though I would just like people to flow smoothly, even though I would like peace and ease to flow smoothly for me. This is not always the case, and I'm ready to release the belief that everything around me has to be smoothly flowing in order for me to be flowing smoothly within me. We're going to say that again. Even though I believe that everything around me has to flow smoothly in order for me to flow smoothly within. I'm ready to see this differently today. And I unconditionally love and accept myself wherever I am at. And we're going to move to the top of the head, and we're going to say, it always seems like, eyebrow point, I have to adjust. Side of the eye. I have to adjust to the people. Underneath the eye, I have to adjust to the experience or the circumstance. Underneath the nose, I have to adjust to the confrontation. Underneath the mouth, I have to adjust to the response or the reaction. Collarbone point, all of this adjusting that I have to do. Underneath the arm, what if it was different? Underneath the chest, what if I got to adjust? There's points to my mood, my mindset, or my motivational state. Top of the head, I got to act in accordance to that state. Eyebrow point, and everything else would follow suit. Side of the eye, I'm ready for things to adjust to me. underneath the eye. I'm ready to have my kids adjust to my energy. Underneath the nose. I'm ready for my calendar and my schedule. Underneath the mouth to adjust to my energy. Collarbone point. I'm ready for experiences and circumstances. Underneath the arms to just fucking adjust to me. Underneath the chest. I'm done adjusting to everybody else's shit. Wrist points. I'm done adjusting to hectic, crazy schedules. Top of the head. I'm done adjusting to urgency and rushiness. Rushiness. The rush. Eyebrow point. I'm done adjusting to everybody else's whims and wills. Side of the eye. Until I adjust to me. Underneath the eye. I'm ready to tap into this superpower. Underneath the nose. I'm ready to lead by this example. Underneath the mouth. I'm ready to make this my default state. Collarbone point. I could choose to keep adjusting to everything and everyone else. Underneath the arms. And sometimes I will. Underneath the chest. Or, for the most part, wrist points. I could choose to tune into my own mind, my own mood set, my own mindset and motivation. Top of the head. I can choose to adjust my actions according to my energy. Eyebrow point. And I can show everybody else how it's done. Side of the eye. I give myself permission. Underneath the eye to pause from all this pressure. Underneath the nose. And I give myself permission. Underneath the mouth to lead by example. Collarbone point. What it means to live in accordance. Underneath the arms of my own personal energy. Underneath the chest, and to watch how epically everything flows in place because of that. Wrist points. I'm ready to see this today. All right. Awesome job. Take a nice gentle breath. Connect into that. I mean, I can feel more towards the side of, yeah, I'm ready to show people. I'm ready to show my kids. I'm ready to show my family how it's done. I'm ready to show them how they can be in complete alignment within themselves and take action from that place, and how they can still get it all done, how they can still do what they need to do, but how how we can change the set point and the standards of what it means to take action, what it means to complete something or achieve something or find fulfillment in something. So I think that that is a really big thing that moms, we're the ones who show them, and we keep on showing them from the stress, the scarcity, the scattered energy, because that's what we are under the influence of from the world around us. And as soon as we opt out of that, we pause from that pressure and say, no, I'm not doing it that way anymore. I'm doing it my way now. And yes, I'm going to be attentive and to be there for the times that I'm going to have to, be under the gun or be under pressure and have that sense of urgency or that sense of rushingness. But that's not the default state. You can be in that state and then you can come back to grazing essentially. And that's a term that I have received or I've seen in other resources and that from working with horses, like from people's writing and from observations of horses. And I can see my horses outside right now. They get huffy about things. They race up and down the field. They get super, like, they blow air through their nostrils. They kick, they roll, they do whatever, and then they go back to grazing. Right? They're not in that constant state of alert and attentiveness. They have that on no matter what. So it's such a weird thing. They have that to tap into anytime that they need to, but as soon as they don't need to, they don't. Whereas us, as especially moms, we are constantly in that hyper-aware state. We're hyper intent. We're hyper alert about what it is that's going on around our circumstances, whether we know it or not. And I mean, we need to learn how to allow that to be there for when we need it. But then when we don't need it, we're not tapped into it. That's not the channel that we're receiving or that we're getting the information that we need from. We're not receiving from that state. And that's that instinctual state sometimes, right? But we know that instinct is there all the time, but we don't need to be tapped into our instinct 24/7. We do want to be tapped into our intuition, which is more of an energy-led, soul-led, higher self-led thing versus, the visceral kind of physical, instinct of things, right? So we have them both available to us. We just need to reset the default. Okay, so for our last little part today, we're going to do some self-sway testing. And I'm going to move my chair. I'm going to push this back so that you can see me standing up. Oh, my door just closed. Okay, so if you've never done self-sway testing before, it's super fun. This is not going to be like a detailed tutorial or anything by any means. But what you can start, if you've never done this before, is you can start. I'm kind of tilted to the side here so that you can see me swaying back and forth. But what you're going to do is you're going to feet nice distance apart. You're going to feel solid in your stance, secure in your stance. You're going to feel balanced in your stance. You're going to hold your chest up. You're going to have like straight back, shoulders rolled back and down. You're going to have this kind of engagement within your core. You don't necessarily have to firm up or anything. But you do want to be connected to that core because that's where your push-pull sway comes from. It comes from the gut, but the actual physical movement comes from like the hinge of your ankle. So you want to go forward and then you want to go backwards. So just practice the swaying by itself, like sway forward, sway backwards. And you're rocking on the heel. You're doing that back and forth from the ankle, from the hinge. So just do this for a minute. Get that sense of, okay, like posture. So you can feel it. And you can close your eyes because sometimes you can get more of a response if you're not again, your senses are not inundated by things. So I've never trusted muscle testing until a few months ago. And then all of a sudden, it took me like half an hour to go through a process, And once I got through the process, I was like, I can do it. I know I can do it. And then you can work on the trust piece, right? So again, making sure you're in a balanced stance, making sure your chest is up and open, and then just allowing yourself to fall gently forward or back. Okay. So here's where it gets cool. So this is an investigation tool. It's not a diagnostic tool. You can ask yourself, you're basically asking your subconscious or your body questions, or you are thinking of intentions or You're just kind of feeling things out to get a yes or no response. That's all we're going to do today. Is like a yes is forward, a no is not. If you feel like you are getting a no as a backwards, there is, I think, neurogenic switching or inflammation in the nervous system that needs to be addressed. Do a round of tapping on all the points, and this is just something that you can do. It can be nice and quick. Connect with your breathing. And try again. So you can think of something. You could say, my eyes are blue. Yep. You can say, my eyes are green. Nope. And those are things that you know, but you could do like 2 + 2 is 4. And 2 + 2 is 6. Right? And you can kind of start to play with it a little bit, just getting the forward and backward. Now, once you feel confident that you have a forward for an affirmation and a backward for, you know, it's not in alignment or it's out of alignment, it's basically a no. You can start to ask yourself questions like, I believe I can take a pause from the pressure, right? And so I believe I can pause from the pressure. I get a no, I get a backward sway. Then you can say, do I hold this pressure in my physical self? Yes, okay. Do I hold it in mentally? No, okay, that's surprising. Do I hold it emotionally? And do I hold it energetically or spiritually? So I get a yes for physical and spiritual. So and I'm working on that dynamic with the self-study test. So you can really start to play around with this. It's really, really fun. Your body can really give you the answers to the things that you wanting to know on a deeper level. For the things that we're working on today, for this new moon in Cancer, you can ask yourself, do I need to, you're going to hold your hand over your heart as kind of like a priority, and just ask, is the priority in protection? Do I need protection? Yes, okay. Do I need to nurture anything? No, okay. So protection is what I'm going to focus on. Do I need to protect my physical body? No. Do I need to protect my mental body? No. Do I need to protect my emotional body? No. Okay. Do I need to protect my spiritual body? And that's it. So there it is. You start there. You kind of ask some questions, you get into it. So that I need some spiritual, I need to work on my spiritual boundaries or my spiritual protection for this new moon in Cancer. So then you could also ask, can I release what I need to release in order to protect myself? So yes, so I can. So you can work on that. So then you can go through, is there a certain emotion that I need to release? Yes, okay. Is that emotion in an organ system? Yes. And so this is where you can really go deep, and this is where you'll need to look up different emotions. You'll look up different what emotions are stored in different organ systems. So traditional Chinese medicine has a lot on this. You can go into that. And if you're curious about this for more, I can help you find some resources, or I can, we could do a one-on-one session with just this for yourself. So I know that I need to work on, is it to release an emotion that's stored in my body? Yes. And that will give me energetic protection or spiritual protection. That's something that is my main focus for this new moon in Cancer. Yes, 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 yes. So those all forward. So that's all affirming and affirmation that those are the things that I'm going to be working on for the next, week or so. And you could say, is this just pertaining to the new moon in Cancer? Yes. Will this be cleansed and cleared by the time the crescent moon comes? No. Will this be cleansed and cleared by the time the first quarter moon comes? Yes. Okay. So is there anything else that I need to know about this? Yes. So is this something that is my own? No. So am I protecting against outside energy influences as I move through this Cancer new moon? Yes. Okay. So is there any specific practices that I need to know? No. Is it something that I need to activate within myself? Yes. Do I have the tools already to do this? Yes. Yes. Okay. So that's kind of the line of questioning. Okay. So that's kind of the line of questioning. So you can just kind of go from there. So a great place to start with the swaying is asking if there is, like we said, we talked about nurturing and boundaries. Is there something, or protection, nurturing and protection? Asking different questions about, is nurturing your priority? Is protection your priority for this new moon in Cancer? But find out what feels the best for you. You could also look at, is this something pertaining to the moon, energetic characteristics of the moon? You go back and forth. Is this pertaining to the sun characteristics of or the energetic sun characteristics? Back and forth. Does this have to do with the Jupiter energetic characteristics? Go back or forth. If it's a yes, you'll go forward. If it's nothing, if it's no, if that's not it, you'll lean back. And so then you could start there. So look up Jupiter, look up the moon, look up the sun, whichever those characteristics, or whichever was yes or no, or whichever was yes for you, whichever was an affirmation for you to check out. Then you would start to explore that. And chances are that in your exploration, between your self-sway test, between tapping, and between research that you're doing, maybe looking online or through books or other resources, something is going to pop out to you. Something is going to elicit some kind of a reaction. So this could be something where you are triggered, or you are having a strong adverse reaction to it. You're like, oh God, like, no, I'm not going to look at that. I don't want to look at that. Maybe you should look at that. Or it's going to be something that really pulls you. And sometimes you'll just know, you'll just have this gut feeling. It's just like, oh, that's it. That's it. Play with wording, play with phrasing, because our body is very sensitive. Our subconscious is very sensitive. So you could have something to do with, for instance, healing some kind of a maternal dynamic, regardless of whether it's with your mom or not. But it could be healing some kind of maternal energy, right? Nurturing some kind of maternal energy. Maybe that's where you are, you're kind of being pulled to, but sometimes the phrasing, or the words can be off, and so you'll want to adjust according to that. Another great place to go from is this physical? Is this mental? Is it emotional? Or is it energetic? So looking. Also, you could take a look at it from the kosha system. So the Panchamaya kosha system is this 5-layer sheathing that we have of energetic, resonance or boundaries or frequencies. And so you could look that up, just Googling the kosha system. And it's a yogic philosophy. And that'll you could go through that layer by layer. You could go through it through organs. You can go through it through emotions. So you could do a body scan, right? So, and I think what we can do right now actually is do a quick body scan, do a quick round of tapping and breathing to close today out. So I'll show you the body scan. You could ask yourself as a separate investigation, like, is there an emotion held, in my forehead or in my head? Like, is it in my brain? And then you could go even deeper. It could be, is it in the intellectual brain, or is it in the physical brain, right? Is it in the emotional brain? Is it in the energetic brain? Is it in the spiritual brain, right? You could really go deep with it. And this might be getting way too out there, but you could say, is there anything like, there's so much to do with teeth and the jaw, like orally. There's so much to do with like ENT, like ear, nose, and throat. So like you could go through that whole system. You could do it through your endocrine system. You could do it through just like holding your hand over certain parts of your body. So you can if you sway backwards, that usually means there's an incongruence. There's energy needs to be realigned and brought back into cohesion, which we will go through here in just 1 second. We'll do a body scan. So you can go through the different parts of the body. And then again, you can always just ask, is this on the physical level, the energetic level, the mental, the emotional, spiritual, whatever. Super, super cool. If you're interested, leave me a comment down below that says you're interested in self-sway testing and more information, and I will start to kind of see how I can bring different things into more intuitive tapping sessions in that regard, or create something for you guys. So let's end off with a round. Let's do a body scan, a quick self-sway body scan. So standing up. Again, making sure you're in a balanced stance. You feel secure and stable. And you're going to use whichever hand, doesn't matter, but it's intention more than anything. So you're going to hold your hand in front of your head, in front of your, like, maybe forehead, third eye. So if you sway forward with your hand here, you're in cohesion there. So now, if you get a backward sway, do tiny little circles, or just hold your hand there until you yawn, sigh, until you get maybe a forward sway and it feels stronger, like a strong forward sway. You will know as you start to do this with yourself, you'll start to have reactions or responses to things that will tell you that you're shifting the energy on your own without even having to do anything. For me, it's yawning. For other people that I've worked with, it's sighing or it's laughing. It's laughing. Like people I've done this with, and they get a little bit giddy. So that's when they know that they have shifted their energy. And it is also like a forward sway. You get like a very strong, okay, like we've kind of recirculated or recalibrated the energy. So you can go to the throat area now, and you're just holding your hand out in front. Okay, so that one's fine. Now over your heart space. That one's fine. Now I want over above the stomach, or like above the belly button, which is the stomach. Okay. Now you can go to the lungs here. I forgot the lungs, so you could do right lung, left lung, right kidney, left kidney. Again, checking your stance. You can check your stance. This is not like a marathon or like a sprint. You don't have to do it all in one go. So checking your stance. And so we did the stomach. Okay, and then we're going to do off slightly to the right, or you can just say or think out loud, liver, gallbladder, pancreas. Okay, so I got a backward sway there, so I'm just going to do tiny circles here. Backwards, backwards, backwards. Pancreas, okay. So there's my yawn and there's my forward sway. Now I'm going to say pancreas again. Spleen. Okay, moving on now to the small intestines, large intestines, bladder, reproductive organs. You can go through them individually. You could go right, left ovary, you could do the womb, you could do uterus, you could just say reproductive organs. If you get a backward sway for reproductive organs, then go through them individually. I would recommend to do. And again, this is not a diagnostic tool. This just means that you need to recalibrate the energy, which means like you have the power of your hand, the power of your intention can recalibrate the chi or the prana or the life force or the vitality of the energetic output of that. So of that organ or that space within you. So this is a lot. It might seem really out there, but it really does. I've done it with clients who have not done muscle testing or self muscle testing or sway testing before with themselves. And the amount of movement, the amount of response that their body offers them is really, really cool. It's very quick, especially working with intuitive practitioners who also have, their own set of modalities or their own practice. But even I have had one client who did not know about any of this stuff. We started working together, and we did a self-sway test on one of our last sessions together, and she was blown away. And she was she was giddy. She was just like giggling the whole entire time. And so she would take lots of big deep breaths. She was just like, she could feel the energy moving through her body. And so it can be for anybody. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to, I would say that you would want to be open-minded to it, but you don't even have to believe it. Your body and your subconscious really work together hand in hand. And I think that the self-sway test is a really cool way when you can use tapping or use breath work or meditation to kind of get your mental body out of the way, where you can really use your physical body as the thermometer or the gauge between answering questions or just having different areas to look at, because our subconscious and our body will hold more deeply more rooted answers. I think more deep rooted wisdom and guidance as opposed to our intellectual mind. So we can only learn so much, we can only know so much intellectually before it's really cool to kind of tap into the body as much as possible without letting the mind get involved too much, and then letting the mind come in afterwards to be like, okay, let's investigate this, let's interpret it, let's research it, let's figure out what are the experiences that we've had. And then you can start to ask the mind these questions, and then you can start to bring in tapping to be like, okay, well, where have I ever needed to create more boundaries within my spiritual practice or my spiritual energy? Like where have I needed to release other people's energy, right? We're empathic people. If you're a highly sensitive person or an empathic woman, like you have a lot of energy coming at you in any given moment, from your kids to your spouse to Mother Nature, to the people that you're walking through the grocery store with. There's so many things. Or some people, like, they might just see you. If you have an online presence, you could just see, and you have things that come your way without you knowing it. You just need to cleanse and clear it, right? So it can be a really powerful tool for you to just tap into your own intuition, tap into your body, tap into your subconscious. And then once you find some answers that you may not know what to do with, or you may not know that they were actually the answers that you needed, then you can bring your mind into it and be like, okay, well, what do we need? Where do we need to go from here? What can we do about this? And then oftentimes there's emotions or experiences from the past that are held, and that it's all there for your expansion and for your growth, which is a key thing for Jupiter. So I think that just to end today's topic, and we're going to do some tapping and breathing to really just close everything out. But Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's the planet of indulgence, right? So we can have a nurturing indulgence, we can have a nurturing expansiveness, or we could have that protective boundaries. Jupiter is about boundaries or lack of boundaries. So this is all definitely things that you can take a look at for yourself during this this new moon in Cancer, and just over the next week in general, right? So the new moon will run from the 25th probably till about the 29th or so. It's usually about 3.5, 4 days per phase of the moon. Phases. So you don't have to do everything right on the new moon, right on the dot, right on that the time, right on the day, right? You can take it, and then you can take it even further, right? You don't have to. This could just be the beginning of something that you're working on for the next 6 months, right? So anyway, I hope that this was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a comment below. Again, if you're interested. Did I say hello again? Anyway, if you're interested, you could leave a comment, self-sway or EFT, or you can just write me a comment down below of what is intriguing to you, and I can bring more of that in. Or if you have any questions, please let me know. So let's end today's session by tapping on the top of the head, taking a nice gentle breath in and out. You can close your eyes or soften your gaze. I'm tapping on the eyebrow point now. Just breathing gently in and out. Moving now to the side of the eye. Breathing in and out. Underneath the eyes, breathing in and out. Underneath the nose. Feeling more anchored and grounded in each breath you take. Underneath the mouth, taking a nice gentle breath in and out. Oh, goodness. Yawning, sighing, feeling a release, feeling an openness, feeling a receptivity. Collarbone point, taking a nice gentle breath in and out. Feeling open to guidance, wisdom, knowing, direction, focus. Underneath the arms, breathing in and out. Oh, excuse me. Feeling more connected to your body. Underneath the chest, breathing gently in and out. Feeling more grounded and secure within yourself. More settled and sorted. And moving to the wrist points now. Oh, excuse me. Knowing that anything that you need to know, any direction, any focus that is meant for you will become more clear, more aware, and gently. It'll come in more supported. And yeah, wishing you all the best for this new moon in Cancer. Yeah, have an amazing rest of your week, and I hope to see you back here soon for another intuitive tapping. Thanks, everybody. We'll chat with you soon.